Hey guys, this is Zen for Ixie Studios, here doing my first review. Well, my first interview actually, and I'm here with MarzGurl from That Guy with the Glasses.
How's it going?
Real treat interviewing you, MarzGurl.
Thank you.
You're an anime journalist. You review Western animated movies. You've got your Twilight blog, so literary critic.
To an extent, at least as far as Twilight is concerned. Yeah.
You do some gaming as well. Anything else that you're thinking about just branching into in the future?
Oh gosh, I think I've branched so far. Like my interests are already so spread out. I do like tabletop gaming, D&D, occasionally dab into trading card games. I've done Magic and other stuff that has cropped up and then died promptly within its first year of release season.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think I've branched out too far, and I better kind of keep it in, or else I'm going to just fly off somewhere and nobody's going to know what to expect out of it.
It's really hard when the universe just keeps throwing all these awesome things at you. You just want to tell everybody whether it sucks or it rocks. Honestly.
Exactly.
You spent a little time in Japan.
Yeah, I've done 3 trips. One time I lived there for a bit to go to school.
Yeah.
So,
honestly, that only enriches your ability to view anime and Japanese culture.
To an extent, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you had your first-hand look at the sort of culture over there, so it should help.
That and it's so cool if anyone ever gets the chance to go to the Tokyo International Anime Fair. Good lord, so awesome. And it's not all just anime there. All kinds of different animators from around the world will show up and display their new awesome stuff. You get your first look at all this stuff that nobody's ever seen before. So really cool.
What's your favorite anime?
Record of Lodoss War, Chronicle of the Heroic Knight. I don't know if many current fans have even necessarily heard of Record of Lodoss War.
I have.
But it was based on some group's D&D session at some point back in the day, and so it's just this big epic fantasy with dragons, and it's just your standard high fantasy, elves and berserkers and all that good stuff. I love it.
I've watched a few episodes of it, and I did wind up liking it. My problem is when it comes to anime, I'll watch a few episodes, and then there'll be another show to come along.
Yeah, I can understand that, because they're just constantly churning stuff out, so yeah.
Because it's cartoons there. Like, it's like cartoons here. There's so many different styles of cartoons, but in the end, it's like watching them all.
It's hard to do so, but some fans manage to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then they go on the internet and they talk about it.
Exactly.
Yes, that's how even people like us are getting our jumps. What's your favorite animated series, like Western animated series?
Western animated series? Oh gosh. Man, I wish that Megas XLR had gotten a longer run than it did. I love the hell out of Megas XLR. My favorite cartoon growing up was probably Darkwing Duck. I loved the Batman animated series. I just love Warner Brothers animation style, really. So those are a small handful of my favorite television series growing up, and on into now actually. I can still sit down and watch Batman or Darkwing Duck.
Oh sure, absolutely. See, when I saw your tweet, it's like, can someone help me find a clip of him saying "suck on gas"?
Suck gas, evildoers.
I'm just like,
because he says it, and he says it kind of frequently, but for some reason I was having a hard time finding, alright, I need an exact episode, and I need to know exactly when he says it, and I just couldn't find it. Because I would have to sit there and watch through all my volumes of Darkwing Duck on DVD, and as cool as that would have been, I was pressed for time.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I did try to look on YouTube at that point, and I was like, there's very little Darkwing Duck here, that's a crime.
Right, no kidding.
That is. So honestly, you see a lot of animated movies, and it really is a classic story. They sacrifice one thing, but they improve on another. What do you think is the greater crime? Having bad animation but a decent story to tell, or having wonderful animation but absolutely nothing there?
If you have gorgeous animation and no story, it's like you may as well have not even animated.
I know.
So it's kind of like what we were talking about in our panel down at the Channel Awesome Q&A the other night. Same thing with reviewing. You can have gorgeous setup, you can have the best lighting, the best camera and audio equipment, but if your writing stinks, nobody's going to want to pay attention to you anyway. Nobody's going to care what your opinions are. So the same thing with animated movies too. Like Titan AE, they tried some really, like their 2D animation is gorgeous, and then their 3D kind of cel-shaded animation. When it was just on the dredge, these characters that are nothing but pure energy, that was fine.
Yeah.
So long as they didn't combine the two. It looked gorgeous, but it kind of fell apart as far as how their universe really worked, and it just, Fox was already kind of going under anyway. They just didn't take the time to write it, and so it kind of crashed and burned. So.
I'm one of those people that did wind up seeing Titan AE in the theaters, and I thought at the time, I mean, like, you know, very, very young me, I was really, really impressed with it. But then
I was too, actually, yeah.
Yeah, but it did lead me with a lot of questions, and I don't like that even now. I like, when it comes to movies and such, it should be, like, you know, wrapped up for
Sure.
Yeah, honestly, the plot should have beginning, middle, and end. There shouldn't be plot holes left to be told.
Right, and I'm totally fine with, you've told a pretty complete story, but then if it leaves you wondering, what happens to these people after the fact? I don't necessarily want there to be a sequel or anything. I'm fine with the whole, I wonder what happens when, but not in the middle of the story where, why does that happen the way it does?
Yeah, it's the finer details. Like, you can have a complete story, but the finer details needs to be there in order to make the viewing experience complete.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was going to touch on your Twilight. Yeah. Okay. So, you're reviewing Twilight chapter by chapter.
Right.
Kudos on that one. Honestly, it's something that I had thought of doing, but I just didn't think that it was worthwhile devoting that much time to Twilight.
And honestly, I know people have already done it. Really, I'm kind of doing it more for myself than I am for anybody else. It's really kind of more for my own sanity's sake.
Yeah.
And the fact that anybody else kind of reads along with me, because apparently people are doing that, that blows my mind. I'm thinking, no, only one of us needs to go through this. You guys, it's okay.
Save yourselves!
It's part of why I'm not actually doing it as a video series. I think there's a lot of people who are like, well, why don't you make a video series out of it? It's like, well, really, it has been done before. I know that. And I do think I am devoting quite a lot of time to picking it apart. It's my own obsessive-compulsive disorder kind of coming into effect, but I just feel like, man, this is messing with society. This is not how people in relationships work at all, ever. And the angering, underlying agenda that you can tell the author is putting in there with her own morals and belief systems, it's painful, real painful.
I mean, honestly, you cannot refute the effect that it's had on media and society and people.
And you figure there's two specific, really big hunks of audiences reading and watching the books and the movies. One, teenage girls, and two, those teenage girls' moms. But if it's the teenage girls who are reading and watching this, then it's like, I'm hoping to God that they understand that there's a difference between fantasy and reality. I think if you're reading it purely as, you know, you're going into it thinking this is fantasy, okay, whatever, I can just turn my brain off, then that's fine. The problem is, unfortunately, society's not that smart. I wish I could say that they were, but they're not.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a big problem.
Twilight is beloved. This is all the evidence we really need. Are you going to be picking apart the other books?
Was thinking about it. If I do, I want to try and tackle it before the last movie comes out.
Yeah.
So it means I kind of got to hustle.
Yeah. In terms of Breaking Dawn, I'm going to talk about that for a second here. Do you think it was a good idea for the author to change it from stupid girl falls in love with vampire to road trip comedy about a girl named Dawn learning about sex?
I think, like, it probably served well enough just as a one-volume book, and then it didn't need to get elaborated upon. And maybe even if you stopped at 3, that would be fine. Like, hey, we're gonna get married. I don't need to know about you getting married.
Yeah.
I don't need to know about how they make passionate love once they get married. Yes, married couples do that. I get it. it didn't. There's a certain point where an author should know we don't need to tell the rest of this story, and I think that point was way back here, not at book 4, maybe at book 3, but maybe not even at book 3, maybe back here at book 1. Maybe the first book shouldn't have even been written.
Yeah. Honestly, if you had to write it, it could have been a one-off. I think the more brilliant thing to do would have been give the world these characters and just let them fan fiction it all to death.
Right? No kidding. Not like they're not doing that now.
Yeah. But that's just like, that's a different kind of thing because there's a continuity beginning, middle, and end. And honestly, their fan fiction messes with the middle.
Well, Twilight is, in and of itself, is kind of a self-insertion fanfic, all in its own right. And in fact, Stephanie Meyer only she dreamed up the middle chapter in the first book, and then kind of wrote backward and forward from that, and then kind of had to take steps back in retconning certain little things, like, oh, I thought vampirism worked like this. No, it doesn't work like that. I'm fixing it here in book 4. Here. Okay, obviously you're not a writer. And she's not. She's not. The first book she ever wrote was Twilight.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm starting to think that she was just like, this is too good for fanfiction.net. I have to publish this.
Entirely possible, yeah.
Yes. I've often said, you mentioned it as a self-insertion fantasy. Honestly, I've always said that Bella was pretty much just a cardboard cutout of a faceless girl being sexed by Edward.
It's true. They don't really give too much of a physical description of her, nor do they really describe her interests in great detail. They kind of skirt around Edward asking her, so what is it you're interested in? What was your history like? And she says, and then I explained my history to him. But she doesn't say what it is. So you as the reader can kind of insert yourself into that story, and I think that's kind of sick.
Yeah.
Like I think that could be a place where an author would say, here, let me develop my character for you. And it just says to me that she doesn't know how to develop a character in the slightest.
It's like she sort of picked up the phone, called every single teenage girl in the world and said, I'm writing a book and you're the main character. How would you like me to write you? Okay, I'm going to make everything as bland as possible.
It's what it sounds like. It's totally what it sounds like.
Yeah. I loved your Dawn Bluth retrospective. I hate to jump around, but honestly...
No, it's fine, no.
Your Dawn Bluth retrospective is just... It's in my head and I wanted to just bring it up. I just wanted to like show... I wanted to tell you that I do respect that.
I adore Dawn Bluth to death.
No, I do as well. Like, despite the fact that I did grow up with some of his not-so-good titles.
I mean, yeah, his stuff... It was beautiful and fantastic, and then kind of, where were you going with this, Dawn? But all throughout it, his animation has still just kind of blown me away, regardless. And of course, like I said before, animation should never try and make up for storytelling, but you can't ignore the fact that the art and the animation styles and the fluidity of movement and everything is just so perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect.
No, I know, and I do believe in when you said his human animations
I love his human animations.
Yeah.
Because it's most likely rotoscoped.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you see other people like Ralph Bakshi, who does things like that Hobbit movie, or did Cool World. And for some reason, his animations just kind of, they feel really uncanny valley. Like, it just makes me uncomfortable somehow. He rotoscopes too, but it's almost like it's 2D trying too hard to be real, and it just feels really weird to me. But Dawn Bluth still manages to make it feel like a cartoon, and it's comfortable and it's fun, and I love it. Love the piece.
It can be dark and it can be gritty. He can do that.
Oh yeah.
But it's not. It doesn't have that sense of intrusiveness.
Exactly. Yes.
It's not punching you in the face while it's running up to you. It's like, I'm an animated movie. Love me. No. But honestly, I do agree with you. His human animation, fantastic, very prevalent. I think it's very good. Even in Anastasia.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all right, aside from the horrible inconsistencies with, time.
Yeah, with actual history, So you kind of have to just take it as, all right, this is its own piece, I think Russia actually loved the movie, despite the they knew perfectly well this wasn't history. So you just take it like it's a fairy tale, and it's a nice, safe movie that Fox managed to produce.
Yeah, I have an old buddy. He's a former Soviet agent. He's going to be reviewing Anastasia next, I believe.
Oh man,
so I know.
I'd like to hear that kind of
from
kind of knowledge of it.
Just from the communist mouth. But back to Don. I loved his human animation. I also loved his animation.
Oh yeah.
I grew up with a whole bunch of his Nazi work. I grew up with rock. Honestly,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I look at Channel Awesome and that guy with the glasses and stuff like that, and I can't believe how many people shared my movie childhood. I mean, when Nostalgia Critic reviewed Good Burger, I was like, other people saw that?
Right, exactly. Like, I'm thinking, oh my god, this is the movie that I was blown away because it came out on an orange VHS tape.
Yeah.
It and Area of the Spy, the Nickelodeon stuff that came out on VHS. I was like, VHS can be something other than black.
I know. I think wasn't the Rugrats movie orange as well?
It might have been. I don't recall right. I think it was though.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, he did Good Burger. Lindsay Ellis did Thumbelina.
Yes.
Grew up with that one. I think you did too, didn't you?
Yeah. I did all of Don. I went over all of Don Bluth's movies, even if the Nostalgia Chick and the Nostalgia Critic already did it. I hate the mentality on the internet of Nostalgia Critic already reviewed this. That means you can't review it. And I was like,
no one else has anything to say on this subject ever at all?
Yeah, so I went ahead and I tackled it anyway, despite the fact that, you know, I'd already seen like his Rockadoodle and his Troll in Central Park and her Thumbelina review. Despite all that, I went in on it anyway, so.
I have a few titles that I'd actually like to get your quick opinion on. Okay. The All Dogs Go to Heaven Christmas special.
Sure. It's been a long time since I've seen that. I actually have to go and review it because now I'm in stages of the Don Bluth sequels that Don Bluth was not involved in. So I'm gonna have to go over that Christmas special, which, gosh, I just get flashes of imagery in my head and I can't give you a fair answer on what my exact feelings on it are, but I do recall it not being as heartwarming as the movie. And the second movie, was it the third movie? I want to say it was, and there was a TV series.
It was technically the third movie, actually. It was All Dogs 2 TV show Christmas special. So
that's what the third one was the Christmas special. That's right. So yeah, I have to go back and cover those, and of course I have to go back and cover the Dragon's Lair TV series. I believe there was a Space Ace one that I know very little about actually. Still got to finish all the stuff with An American Tail. I'm trying to remember if there were any other spin-offs off the top of my head, and I'm sure there were. But I kind of already covered all of them before Time's spin-off jump. So. But yeah, that All Dogs Go to Heaven Christmas special, still got to tackle it, so I'll let you know later.
Now, here's another one, and I actually like this one. And it's going to be Swan Princess Trilogy.
You know what, the first one, I really liked it.
I liked it too!
And then, I was like, you have more story to tell after this? I didn't think there's more story to tell here.
First one was like, oh, this is really funny. It's actually pretty well written.
It's really pretty too, and you can tell it's all hand painted cells. I love it. Love the art.
Characters were hilarious. It's a movie driven by its side characters.
Yeah.
Very much so. Then the sequels came along, and I was like, okay.
And they're all direct to home video release. And it's just.
It's like I actually dragged my parents to go see it when it came out in theaters. That should tell you absolutely nothing that you should know about me. But I went to go see it, absolutely loved it, saw the movies, like, oh, there's more of them, then, there's more of them, and, there's more of them.
Never mind.
I'm walking away from this now, and you're going into the nostalgia. Well, honestly, I'm going to be closing up pretty soon.
Okay.
Just wanted to ask one final thing.
Sure.
I've been reading your Twitter, and I've been noticing you're talking a little bit about your fans and about how they have some comments about trying different things, like your skits and stuff like that.
Right.
I know you've been trying to expand your skits.
It's like, I think the people who are specifically fans of me, people who are specifically fans of me are okay with watching my stuff, no matter what it is. And they'll tell me, oh, I really liked it, but it's like, when skits only make 10% of the views as Herp the Derp, I'm talking about a cartoon, then it makes me feel like, why do I want to go into skits and work so hard? Because I put a lot of extra time and extra money into like building that nostalgia and you know, it was model paints and spray paints and going down to Academy Sports and Outdoors to find different lighting to put on this thing. It's like, man, it just doesn't make the money back if only 10% of my typical audience is watching.
And that's unfortunate because I do like your skits.
Well, thank you. I mean, so long as what I have done is well liked by the people who watched it, then like I feel good about it. I just can't keep producing.
Yeah. Like your Kanji promos, I did like them. I liked them a lot. I did like. I think it was Lindsay that actually said there are two types of internet reviewers. There's the people who are like they're academic about it, like she very much is. I mean, like when I watch her stuff, I feel like I'm reading an essay. She's very academic about it. She's a New York film student.
Of course.
Yes. But then there's the people who also include plot and skits and stuff like that. And if you're gonna do, I feel that if you're gonna do one, you should do one. If you're gonna do the other, you're gonna do the other.
Right.
You pull off the other, but I feel like if you do work on skits and stuff like that, I think it could be well. Like
I think it would have to be something completely separate. I'm not one of those reviewers that like wants to make me as a reviewer into a character. I don't feel like I am a character. If I were to ever do skits, they're like separate, they're on their own. It's part of why I didn't want the kanji thing to be, that promo to be like stuck at the end of a video of a typical review. Like people, it would have gotten other people to watch it, but you know, people would just shut off at that point anyway because most people just go to see my reviews and see me talk about cartoons. So.
Honestly, if you were to do it as a separate sort of entity, I'd watch it. I personally, whatever you might think you do have some character presence in your shows.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you do. This has been a fantastic interview. I've been really happy to meet you. This is Zen from Mixie Studios, MarzGurl. Guys, signing off.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.